The Cannabis Show is for information only. You should always consult with a qualified and licensed physician or other medical care provider.
Welcome to the Cannabis Show. On today's show, we're talking about terpenes, where the industry is going, combustion first vaporizing, and Hydropothecary's Good Morning, which is an indica hybrid strain. It's a little confusing. We'll get to all that and more. Hi, my name's Chris. I am here with Basil, Hart, and Kate, and let's get right into it. Where is this industry going? What's happening with all the LPs and such? What's your take on this?
That is right into it. Wow.
Yeah, I mean, the industry is definitely changing, right? I mean, we're slowly preparing for legalization federally across the country. So lots of LPs are gearing up on that end, but also, I mean, we need to not forget the patients, right? That's a huge part of where this whole industry started. So
I know there are natural health services.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, I know there's lots of LPs that are certainly have numbers carved off for patients, so they're not getting forgotten. But yeah, I mean, like we're about to explode in this industry, and Canada is going to be the leader.
Yeah,
Canada is.
You can even see it on the Health Canada websites. You can see the stockpiles of cannabis are piling up, and yeah, everyone's really prepared.
And everybody can access that, right? On the Health Canada website.
That's right on the website, yeah.
There's so much information on there.
Yeah, you just got to dig around a little bit.
Yeah.
Now, the latest on the rec market was they were saying August. They've actually pushed it back like a month. Was there any particular reason for that?
I mean, I think that they just need a little bit more time to prepare. It's obviously going through the Senate for several readings. Before it becomes law, it has to go through royal assent, that kind of thing. So they need a little bit more time. And I think, to be quite honest, I would say that everybody would be okay with that, except for maybe the retailers themselves. I'm sure the LPs are quite fine with, a bit of a delay for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it was, they said, it was going to happen at this time. I don't think anyone really ever put a date on there, and some people grabbed onto that and said this is going to be the day. Right. So I think it's just we got to be realistic about it. This is going to take a little bit of time, and it should. Like we want something that's working and something that's going to suit us well. Like we don't want to go out there.
Partially,
and
I think because Canada is the forefront, people are going to be looking to us for exactly how things are going to work, and we don't want to be falling apart and not doing things right. It makes so much more sense to just make sure.
An exciting summer ahead.
It's not going to be perfect, right? But it's there.
Yeah.
So. It's going to change.
Right.
Like I always think about alcohol when it first started, when it became legal again, you had to purchase it in a brown bag. I do actually, buying my whiskey in a brown paper bag. But seriously, so times are going to change, and it'll get better.
And speaking of changing it up, a little different topic though. But I mean, everybody's always thinking about vaping versus combustion. Now we're talking about not so much the legalization of it. We're talking about actually, ingesting or taking the cannabis and stuff like that. What's the difference between combustion and vaping, and is there a preference or?
Well, I think to note, before we get into it, it's an important thing with vaping versus combustion is that I think vaping is going to go a long ways to help with normalization as we get closer to legalization. It's going to change some of those stigmas about smoke.
Well,
you don't get the smell, and you don't get, there's all kinds of bonuses with
no
vaporizing.
Toxins, no carcinogens.
Yeah, but there are some patients out there. I mean, there's nothing wrong with smoking.
No,
I guess
it
gets demonized.
It's definitely a faster approach.
Yeah, I mean, let's say for sure, there's no question vaporizing. There's a lot less stuff you're putting into your lungs. But to be honest, when you actually combust in cannabis, there's far less toxins in tars than actually combusting, like smoking a cigarette, for example. So while it might not be the healthiest way, a lot of patients really do prefer to smoke their cannabis.
I don't think there are a ton of studies that can point cannabis smoke to detriments to the lungs. I've even heard it said that the positives that smoke is putting in there, the cannabinoids, is
negating.
But vaporizing will take down the odor by about 80%. And odor is a huge consideration. Like wafting through the room with your cannabis odor. Something
there's a time and a place for smoking, and vaporization. Certainly, in terms of normalization, I would agree with you guys.
Now, speaking of vaping, actually, we are going to talk about the strain Good Morning by Hydropothecary. I've been kind of vaping this past week because I had a cold when I got back from Scotland. And, I thought I'll try this Good Morning strain from Hydropothecary. And I use my H3 vaporizer that I have at home. Love it. It's a good stationary one for at home.
Yeah. And super durable too.
Yeah, because I've knocked it over a few times. It's still not
throwing against the wall.
So I tried the Good Morning from Hydropothecary yesterday, and I did vape it, and this is where I get really confused. The vaping was great, everything was great. It woke me up. I felt wonderful in the morning with a gang called Good Morning, and actually I have it right here.
Carry it with you everywhere.
What I found interesting about this particular strain, though, is that for me, usually the generalization is sativa daytime, indica daytime. This is an indica hybrid, am I right?
Yeah, it's actually an indica.
It did not knock me out. I was wide awake yesterday.
Terpenes,
for sure.
Terpenes.
Yeah, exactly.
It's the
What
terpenes.
Basil's talking about. Yeah, I mean, there's obviously lots of terpenes there that give you that boost. So probably some limonene in there. I'm going to say some myrcene for sure. And yeah, it really it doesn't give you that cerebral soaringness. If you know what I'm talking about, it's kind of more of a level-headed. It's like a cup of coffee, right?
Well,
like it just kind of gets you going.
But I was like a controlled ADD. I was able to work on one project, and then went right to another one.
You're not going to get that jitteriness where some people who like to start their mornings with those sativas, they get a little bit of that jitteriness with it. Those ones that are those indicas, they have some of those terpenes in there that are going to keep things mellow and keep it relaxed, not super sedated.
So lesson learned, indica doesn't always necessarily mean nighttime.
Don't always assume.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah, but I found the same thing with the ADD component of it. Like if I have a little bit of this in the morning, I get stuff done.
Yeah. I still bounce around, but I get that project done before I bounce to the next one.
Exactly.
Yeah. No, I really like that.
It's definitely a good morning strain, right? It's aptly named.
And we did bring up like the terpenes that were in there before. Let's talk a little bit about terpenes. And you can buy them separately with pinned.
Absolutely. We sell these ones at Natural Health Services. These are they're plant-derived terpenes. So it's not derived from the cannabis plant, not like, say, when the licensed producer is creating their extracted oils, they can remove those terpenes and have those separate. This one is you would take terpenes from different plants, you put them back together like a recipe and create a strain-specific terpene.
Now, how would you use something like that?
There's plenty of ways that you could use it.
Show us the simplest way. Let's say someone is going to put it in their vaporizer with their dry product.
Yeah, if you're going to add it to your dry product, I think the important thing is to, don't put too much on there. Just a drop is plenty, and then let that dry before you go in there. Because, as you know, in a vaporizer, you want that product to be as dry as possible. That's where you're going to get that flavor. And also, when you vaporize a product that has some moisture in there, that first couple inhales, you usually don't get anything or feel anything because you're getting rid of that moisture first and foremost before you can actually get to those cannabinoids, right? So drier means you're going to get those cannabinoids quicker and it's going to be more efficient, save battery life, that kind of thing.
How long would you leave it to dry?
If you're thinking about it, a few hours would probably be even a best case scenario. But yeah, I'd give it a few minutes, waft it off a little bit.
It's quite overwhelming though. I will say I've used products like this and it can be a bit much. Now maybe I was using too much, but I find that it kind of adds something to the cannabis that doesn't feel right somehow.
Yeah, so what I would recommend there is put a little bit on a Kleenex or something like that and just inhale it, like this while you're consuming your cannabis.
Could do that in a theater.
Yeah, absolutely. There's plenty of ways you could take it.
Chris is always looking for things you can do in a theater.
We got a question here for the You Can Ask Us Anything, I guess, part of the show. This is from Cheryl, and really kind of what we've been talking about. She says, why can you vape some oils and not others? Now, this almost sounds like a rec LP. I think there's a little bit of confusion here with the oils that you can vape and not.
Yeah.
So first off, maybe with the LPs, don't vape those.
Right, well, the oils from the LPs are ingestible oils, right? So you're not going to want to put those anywhere near your vaporizer or anything like that.
Now, why is that?
The carriers that they're using, they're not designed to be heated to that temperature and inhaled like that.
It can give you pneumonia.
And people are like burning the inside of their lungs. It can be very dangerous. So
orally only.
So what are these oils that she's talking about that are, vaping, like vape pens and stuff like that? What's going on here? Because you can't buy those from a licensed producer.
Those would be illegal.
They're concentrate pens, that's what you're talking about. So what they do is they would just take a concentrated cannabis product like an oil or a wax, different kind of oil, obviously, ones that's stripped from the plant.
What are they using in there?
Sorry?
When you're smoking
it depends. Sometimes it is stripped with supercritical CO2. Sometimes it can be, butane, things like that. So it really depends. You want to make sure that you're getting a super safe product. Right. So sometimes, you don't know where those pens are coming from.
And the important thing to understand there is that those concentrated oils are concentrated cannabinoids. That's what's making up that product. Whereas this one that you're using to ingest is that product, so those cannabinoids, but then diluted and mixed down with, say, a coconut oil or an MCT oil.
And it does help to...
Or a peppermint.
The oils will help to give you bioavailability because it's a fat-soluble drug, so you do actually kind of... It does help get it into your system. And with Health Canada saying that THC can't be over 30%, that's why we can't concentrate it, or they can't concentrate it.
And the illegal market, I guess, can get pretty high.
They can,
Hopefully that answers your question, Cheryl. And if you have a question for us on the Cannabis Show, you can email us, thecannabisshow@naturalhealthservices.ca. That's all the time we have for today. Thanks for joining us, and please subscribe to our YouTube channel. It is the Cannabis Show. It's easy to find, and have a good one.
Cheers.